Hello and welcome to News Central Now on News Central TV. I am Adebola Adeduba. The top stories at this hour. 30 persons killed in Ondo auto crash. Serap gives Tinubu 7-day deadline to address allegations. Rwanda welcomes calls for regional summits to end DRC conflict. And details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that 30 passengers have died in a ferry auto crash in Ondo State Odigbo local council area. The accident happened on Saturday when two commercial buses collided head-on and burst into flames at the Onikbetesi axis along the Ore-Lagos Expressway. Out of 32 passengers, 28 were burnt beyond recognition, while two others who survived the initial crash later died from their injuries. Two passengers remain in critical condition. The Ondo State's FRSC Sector Commander, Samuel Ibitoye, confirmed that excessive speeding and driving against traffic caused the crash. He urged drivers to maintain their vehicles, avoid reckless driving, and called on passengers to speak out against unsafe driving practices. Now let's turn attention to the oil sector, where the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has given President Bola Tinubu a 7-day deadline to address allegations of corruption in Nigeria's oil sector. SERAP demands an investigation into the disappearance of over 26 billion naira from the Petroleum Technology Development Fund and the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources in 2021. The group has called on the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, and anti-corruption agencies to take immediate action. According to SERAP, if no response is received within the specified time frame, SERAP warns that we will pursue legal action to ensure accountability. The revelations from an Auditor General's report suggest significant financial mismanagement and violations of national laws. Still in the oil sector, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria says its members have started loading petroleum products from the Port Harcourt and Warri Refineries. PETROAN spokesman Joseph Obele confirmed the development, saying it proves the refineries are now operational. He noted that products such as diesel, kerosene, and petrol are now available, creating competition that could drive down fuel prices. Obele added that the revival of the refineries will reduce adulterated fuel in circulation and curb crude oil theft, boosting Nigeria's oil production and revenue. He also highlighted job creation and community empowerment as key benefits of the refinery's return to full operation. Meanwhile, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, PETROAN, has called on fuel marketers to reduce the pump price of premium motor spirit PMS following a drop in the ex-depot price from 950 naira to 890 naira per litre at Dangote Refinery. And speaking on this development, PETROAN National President Billy Gillis-Harry welcomed the price cut but emphasized the need for gradual transition in retail pricing. He explained that many filling stations still have stock purchase at a previous higher rate, making an immediate price adjustment difficult. However, he urged marketers to reflect the price change on new stock purchase from today. PETROAN reaffirmed its commitment to fair pricing and sustainability in downstream petroleum sector, pledging to work closely with Dangote Refinery and other stakeholders to ensure consumer benefits. Earlier, Olushola Bello, publisher Business Standards, spoke to us on this development.
It will save them some money, and that is just a simple mechanism of demand and supply. And Dangote just supply. I think it just reacting to the economic fundamentals within the oil and gas, within the oil and gas industry. If the price comes down, it means the price at international, the price of crude oil at the international market has also been reduced, and so they will have no choice but to also follow suit. That is what they call price modulation. I'm sure NNPC will probably come a little bit lower than what Dangote is putting up because it has more resources than Dangote, and it will want more patronage from customers and consumers. So that is the beauty of competition. So when now the competition is fully, the regulation is fully in place, and competition in action, it is the consumers that benefit from such exercise. There is nobody who is taking undue advantage of the other. That is the proper regulation. The authority should be watchful and see that at least everybody is adhering to the basic principles of economics as it comes to supply and demand. If the price at the general market comes down, it is expected that also the producers in Nigeria should also come down, should also reduce their price, and that is exactly what is happening. At the international market, the price of crude oil has been ranging from between $76 to 81, and $76 to 81 and back to 75. As at yesterday, as at Friday, it was 75 or $67. So that presupposes that at least the price has to be, there has to be a differential between when the price was $81 and when it has come to $75.
The Adamawa State chapter of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, is warned of potential industrial showdown with the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, following the recent seizure and auctioning of petroleum products in the state. IPMAN has threatened to halt operations completely, protesting what is described as unjustified confiscation of legally sourced fuel, a move it says is detrimental to economic stability in the region. Last Thursday, Customs officials says 199,495 liters of premium motor spirit, valued at 199.5 million naira, and later auctioned the fuel at subsidized rate of 630 naira per liter at select filling stations, while 25-liter jerry cans were sold for 10,000 naira each. Reacting to this, oil marketers in Adamawa State insist that the confiscated fuel was not smuggled, stressing that it was legitimately acquired and in full compliance with industry regulations. Telecommunications companies in Nigeria will introduce new tariffs starting in March, according to the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria, ALTON. The ALTON chairman, Gbenga Adebayo, confirmed that operators are currently filing, reviewing, and obtaining regulatory approvals before rolling out new rates. This follows the Nigerian Communications Commission's approval of a 50% tariff hike. Adebayo emphasized that the adjustment is crucial for the sector's survival, adding that telcos cannot be expected to subsidize other industries. He also noted that progress in resolving the 250 billion naira USSD debts owed by banks. Customers can expect gradual tariff changes from next week, with full implementation by next month. In the meantime, Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria has rejected the planned nationwide protest by the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, over the recently approved 50% increase in telecom's tariff. The body, in a letter addressed to the NLC leadership, argued that the tariff hike, though painful, is necessary to prevent the imminent collapse of the sector. The NLC had earlier rejected the tariff increase, describing it as additional burden on Nigerians already grappling with the rising costs of living. The labor union directed its affiliate unions to mobilize members for a protest scheduled for February 4th, 2025. However, the body, which represents workers in the telecom sector, expressed disappointment that the NLC took the decision without consulting it. Away from that, Nigeria's Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, has stated that the decision to abolish the death penalty ultimately rests with the Nigerian citizens. And speaking in Abuja during a courtesy visit by a delegation from the Death Penalty Project, alongside officials from the British High Commission, Kalu emphasized the need for robust debate, collaboration, and stakeholder engagement on the issue. He highlighted that over 130 countries have abolished the death penalty in law or practice, while Nigeria's current legal framework still allows capital punishments for such crimes as murder, armed robbery, and treason. Referencing death row statistics, Kalu underscored the pressing need for criminal justice reform, stressing that laws in Nigeria must evolve in line with societal needs and realities. After the break, Karu communities call for establishment of military strike force base to address escalating security concerns. Details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying with us. And now to Graft Matters, where the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ola Olukoyede, says underdevelopment would be a thing of the past if every citizen sees corruption as a common enemy. Olukoyede said Nigerians condemn corruption, yet rally behind corrupt leaders when they are being prosecuted. He said this while receiving officials of the Center for Crisis Communication, led by Chris Olukolade in Abuja. He said the EFCC will partner to raise public awareness on its activity and the importance of integrity among Nigerians. From devastating floods to prolonged droughts, climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is a reality that communities in Nigeria are battling every day. Experts say that if urgent action is not taken to mitigate its effects on citizens, the damage done could become irreversible. Our correspondent, Joseph, has more.
With severe floods and extended droughts impacting communities across the country, many will agree that Nigeria has had its own fair share of challenges associated with climate change. Today, farmers like Abraham Jimmy are struggling to cope with the irregular and harsh changes in weather patterns, which have become increasingly severe and unpredictable.
You pour water for 3 days, you see the water have dried up due to the weather. Sometimes you see how the weather will be cool, even from the dry season. You will see sometimes you see breasts. Sometimes you will see the well in the night, even in the day. You see how breeze will follow, will be blowing. You feel you can be able to even go under sun, after sun, and even walk into the sun. But when you come to sometimes, you see the way the hot.
While the government has made commitments to reduce carbon emissions, experts believe that more needs to be done to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and tackle deforestation.
The biggest source of climate change is how we get and use our energy. The obvious thing that we need to do is to move away from generating our energy from fossil fuel to generating our energy from renewable sources. The good news is that increasingly generating energy from renewable sources such as solar and hydro and wave have become more competitive. The unit cost of generating energy from solar has fallen dramatically.
From plastic pollution to gas flaring, Nigeria faces numerous environmental challenges, thus needing to reduce its carbon emissions. With many citizens unaware of how their daily activities contribute to climate change, experts say that transitioning to renewable energy, enforcing existing deforestation laws, and investing in public awareness campaigns are key ways to address these crises.
Waste management is a very big gap. We do not have a lot of waste management companies, because if we say we're going to leave that to the government, it's also not going to be sustainable.
We have renewable energy issues, we have solar, we have wind, we have so many areas of renewable energy that youth can be engaged to be self-sustained.
Our forest cover is being lost at an alarming rate. So we need to arrest this by aggressively pursuing a deforestation, afforestation and reforestation policy. And by the way, at an individual level, people need to make better choices.
Environmental experts say that the challenges posed by climate change in Nigeria are real and require solutions that involve both policymakers and the public. They call for increased awareness and bold actions that will determine the country's future. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joseph.
And now to health matters, where the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare says it is committed to delivering President Bola Tinubu's vision for a transformed healthcare system in Nigeria. Health Minister Professor Muhammad Ali Pate announced that 2025 will be a pivotal year with clear and ambitious targets set to improve healthcare delivery nationwide. He emphasized the government's accountability to the people, stating that progress will be measured by tangible results. Key initiatives include expanding access to quality health care, strengthening medical infrastructure, and enhancing social welfare programs. The ministry assures Nigerians it will work tirelessly to meet these goals, ensuring a healthier population and a stronger healthcare system.
As I have shared previously, we are determined to transform the primary healthcare landscape, and this is a journey that I have been on since many years ago as the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency CEO in 2008. The sector-wide approach to health reform, which has brought together federal institutions, state governments, local communities, development partners, non-governmental organizations, our traditional institutions that we revere so much, to form a coherent line of an action. And this year, we are positioned to expand the impact of our sector-wide approach in very practical terms. In view of our ambitious yet achievable commitments to double the current number of primary healthcare facilities in Nigeria that are functional by 2027. I'm pleased to report to you that in 2025, 40% of all the primary healthcare facilities that have been assessed at level 1 during our thorough diagnostic process will be upgraded to level 2, therefore significantly increasing the availability of the facilities that are capable of delivering integrated sexual and reproductive health services, including family planning and post-procedural care across all states of the Federation, and maternal and child health services.
And now to the judicial sector, where workers of the Abia State Judiciary on Friday, January 31st, resumed work in compliance with the suspension of 3 weeks old industrial action by the leadership of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria. The chairman and secretary of the union and the state on Thursday issued a press statement informing members to resume duties with immediate effect, having received all the outstanding salaries from the government. Our correspondent Chiwo Ugele was at the State High Court in Umuahia and now tells us more.
The entrance gate is open for the first time in 21 working days. Lawyers, magistrates, judges, support staff, and even those standing trial or seeking justice are all shut out of these premises the whole time. On Friday, being the first work day after the suspension of the industrial action by the Judiciary Staff Union in Abia State, life seems to have returned to the State High Court as the security personnel position themselves at their duty post with a handful of workers inside. Cleaning and dusting of the courtrooms and offices are going on. Since the strike is over, judiciary staff have once again become too camera shy and so will not speak about their plight. However, the lawyers willingly share their predicament.
We have lost revenue, we have lost clientele, because most of us do not have any other thing to do apart from this job, upon which is our calling.
It has really affected us because it is from the courts. When we come to the court, we get the money we used to take care of our family.
They are happy that they can access the courts and have their cases handled expeditiously.
Now the court is sectional. I believe that there shall be a lot of improvement based on what was on ground before now. Many people have been languishing in the prison yards and the police cells. If you go to police cell now, everywhere is congested. So we believe that it will help in the speedy dispensation of justice.
People are in the cell. Police are now doing their own bit. Police cannot sit as court. Police cannot sit as the umpire, as the prosecutor, which defeats the terms of justice. But today we are elected, at least we are back to job.
Abia State government is able to avert a major industrial crisis with the fulfillment of the agreement with Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria in the state. but must avoid such friction with any labor union in the future. In Omaha for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
The National Secretary of the PDP, Samuel Anyao, has petitioned security agencies, alerting them of a threat to peace and security. The petition dated February 1st, 2025, which was addressed to the Department of State Security, DSS, the National Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Supreme Court. In Court of Appeal, Anyao accused the party's governors of inviting chaos with recognition of Sunday Udo Okoye as National Secretary. It stated that the police should be aware that an appeal has been filed in the Supreme Court against a quoted judgment. Furthermore, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja granted an order on 13th January 2025, clearly directing both parties to maintain status quo ante bellum pending the determination of the substantive application. And now to security matters, where the Cairo Local Government's Community Development Association Forum has urged the federal government to expedite action in establishing a military strike force to tackle escalating insecurity in the area. The appeal follows the kidnapping of 17 residents in Fadam Ruroram village, Kumana Chiefdom on Thursday. In a statement released on Saturday by Public Relations Officer Daniel Achi, the forum specifically called on the Kaduna State government and relevant authorities to set up a strike force in Cairo and Kumana access to complement the existing units in the Makasowa Chawai Chiefdom. Archie expressed their concern over the frequent attacks and kidnappings, warning the unabated activities of bandits were making life unbearable for residents with daily abductions and violence instilling fear across the community. Away from that, governors from the Lake Chad Basin countries have agreed to enhance the operational capacity of the multinational joint task force and secure full control of the Lake Chad Islands to eliminate terrorist remnants and their hideouts. The resolution was reached at the 5th Lake Chad Governors Forum held in Maiduguri, Borno State, where leaders reaffirmed their commitment to regional security and stability. Thank you for staying tuned. Now let's bring you the report regarding governors from the Lake Chad Basin countries having agreed to enhance the operational capacity of the multinational joint task force. Take a look.
For years, terrorist groups have used remote Lake Chad Islands as strongholds, launching attacks across borders. Regional stakeholders resolved to call for military forces to secure the islands and clear remnants of the terrorists in the region at the 5th Lake Chad Governors Forum in Maiduguri.
While we are putting our efforts on the unfortunate incident and accident of Boko Haram, at the same time we should not forget to continue with the efforts so that the Lake Chad can be recharged.
Officials stressed the importance of job creation, education, and social initiatives to prevent radicalization.
We should be careful by relying on international or partner support, because security situation is a self-help situation that do not waste time by anticipating a security and a logistic support from a third party.
We advocate, of course we provide technical support, we provide capacity building, but the most important is the role that is central of the governments.
This situation negatively impacts the sexual reproductive health services, family planning, maternal mortality, gender-based violence, and young and people situation.
Yobe State Governor Waimala Buni emerged as the chairman of the forum for the next 2 years.
With justice down to the theme of the meeting, rebuilding the Lake Chad Basin, consolidating gains, commitment to peace, cross-border cooperation, security and sustainable development for resilient community. It is my hope, as the host governor, that we will internalize, domesticate, and act on the lessons and resolutions of this meeting to move forward from discussion to an all-inclusive action-packed implementation that ensures everyone is carried along for the growth and development of the region.
enhance civil society organization and traditional institution engagement in regional stability, as well as updating and facilitating implementation of the territorial action plans formed part of resolution. Also, the forum agrees that the next meeting of the Governors Forum shall take place in 2026 in the Republic of Niger. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
In the east of the continent, at least 56 people have been killed in artillery shelling and airstrikes across Greater Khartoum as Sudan's devastating war continues to escalate. Now, a busy market in army-controlled Omdurman was hit by RSF shelling, killing 54 people and injuring 158 others, overwhelming Al Now Hospital, according to medical sources and the Sudan Health Ministry. The RSF has denied responsibility for the attack, while Doctors Without Borders described the scene at the hospital as utter carnage. The Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces have been locked in a power struggle since April 2023, with the conflict intensifying as the army fights to reclaim control of the capital. President Donald Trump says he ordered airstrikes on ISIS and affiliated targets in Somalia on Saturday. Now, while the U.S. military has routinely struck targets in the East African nation in recent years, Saturday's strikes will be among the first Trump has ordered during his second term in office. In a statement, Trump said these killers, who were found hiding in caves, threatened the United States and its allies. The strikes destroyed the caves they live in and killed many terrorists without harming civilians. Past targets of U.S. strikes in Somalia include fighters from ISIS and the group Al-Shabaab, which is associated with Al-Qaeda. Rwanda has welcomed calls for a joint regional summit to address the escalating conflict in DRC. And this comes as the M23 rebel group, which the UN and several nations accuse Rwanda of backing, has seized control of Goma and vowed to march on the capital, Kinshasa. The latest escalation has intensified regional concerns, prompting an emergency summit among African leaders. On Friday, the 16-nation Southern African Development Community proposed a summit with the East African Community to deliberate on the security crisis in DRC. In response, Rwanda's Foreign Ministry expressed support for the initiative, stating that it has consistently advocated for a political solution to the ongoing conflict. Earlier, Zama Anshona, the national spokesperson of the African Transformation Movement, shared his thought on this development and the crisis in DRC.
Yes, truly, when you're looking at what actually transpired when the South African Defence Force found itself ill-prepared for what it termed a peace mission in the middle of a war, that one is a matter of concern that must be looked into. But we need to backtrack a little. If you listen to former President of South Africa, President Mbeki, speaking about the matter, and actually going back to 1994 and before, but specifically 1994, when there was an opportunity to recognize the Tutsis as Congolese. And that missed opportunity has actually given us or yielded this particular confrontation. And it is very astonishing, if I may say, why is it that the South African government, after taking Palestine or Israel to the international court for what Israel is doing to Palestinian people, why would the South African government, in this case, even though history is revealing, especially from the statements of the former statesman, and he's not the only one, that the people...
Still ahead, China, Canada, and Mexico vow retaliation over new Trump tariffs. Details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying with us. In response to U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of new tariffs, China, Canada, and Mexico have pledged swift retaliation. Now, Trump's move, which targets key imports, has sparked outrage among these nations, who argue it could harm trade relations and disrupt global markets. China, already locked in a tense trade war with the U.S., warned of necessary countermeasures against the tariffs. Meanwhile, Canada and Mexico, U.S. neighbors and trade partners under the Body Agreement, have also expressed concerns over the economic impact on industries and jobs. With tensions escalating, experts anticipate a remarkable trade standoff unless diplomatic negotiations can bring a resolution.
Like the American tariffs, our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothing, and shoes. It'll include major consumer products like household appliances, furniture, and sports equipment, and materials like lumber and plastics, along with much, much more. If President Trump wants to usher in a new golden age for the United States, the better path is to partner with Canada, not to punish us, unfortunately. The actions taken today by the White House split us apart instead of bringing us together. Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
And torrential rains have caused catastrophic flooding in northern Queensland, Australia, forcing thousands to evacuate their homes. Over 700 millimeters of rainfall in just 24 hours has led to widespread destruction, with floodwaters potentially rising to second-story levels. Tragically, a woman has died as a result of the severe weather. Authorities have warned of life-threatening conditions, with fears that record-breaking rainfall could continue into Monday. Queensland State Premier David Crisafulli described the situation as the worst in over 60 years, citing both the intensity and duration of the storm. The city of Townsville has been particularly hard hit, with roads cut off and urgent rescue efforts underway. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu departed for Washington on Sunday ahead of a crucial meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump later this week. And speaking before his departure, Netanyahu emphasized that discussions in Washington could reshape the Middle East, highlighting key issues such as defeating Hamas, securing the release of hostages, and addressing Iran's terror network, which he said threatens regional and global stability. He also noted that being the first foreign leader to meet Trump at the White House since his inauguration underscores the strength of the Israeli-American alliance.
I'm leaving for a very important meeting with President Trump in Washington. The fact that this would be President Trump's first meeting with a foreign leader since his inauguration is telling. I think it's a testimony to the strength of the Israeli-American alliance. It's also a testimony to the strength of our personal friendship. In this meeting, we'll deal with important issues, critical issues facing Israel and our region, a victory over Hamas, achieving the release of all our hostages, and dealing with the Iranian terror axis in all its components, an axis that threatens the peace of Israel, the Middle East, and the entire world. The decisions we made in the war have already changed the face of the Middle East. Our decisions and the courage of our soldiers have redrawn the map. But I believe that working closely with President Trump, we can redraw it even further and for the better. I believe.
In the world of sports, the 56th Moladi Okoya Thomas Table Tennis Championship wrapped up on Saturday with Matthew Kuti and Bosse Odusoya claiming the men's and women's single titles. The organizers expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the event and also the fan turnout. According to them, the event's consistency over the years has kept fans engaged and excited. They also noted that these competitions will also shape the future of the Nigerian table tennis game.
we must commend the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation and the Lagos State Table Tennis Association. Just in the last 2 months, this is probably the 5th or 6th national tournament that has taken place in here. And the more tournaments and the more events any sports federation has, the higher the interest that is generated amongst the public. And that's why anytime any table tennis event is taking place here, you see the turnout, because there has been a consistency in programs by the state and by the National Federation. I was talking to the chairman of the National Sports Commission last week when he was here for the press conference, that I think the NTTF is probably the most active sports federation in Nigeria right now, because they keep on having tournaments, they keep on having events. Yes, I mean, we may have 1 or 2 things to do in terms of getting the best level, but the fact that they are actually organizing tournaments, number 1 is good for sponsors, number 2 is good for public awareness, number 3 is good for the players, because you now begin to have occasion for players to try and develop themselves and get better. It's a step in the right direction. Lagos has been a hub of table tennis in Nigeria, and the Lagos State Table Tennis Association has continued in that tradition.
I believe so, but you know, we need to now start preparing our players. Some of our competitors out there, the Chinese players, the European players from Sweden, Norway, some of these guys get put in camps for a long period of time. They go into camps preparing for competitions. We need to embark that tradition as well. We need to get these guys, see them. I saw the under 15 for boys and girls today. The standard of those boys and girls is commendable. Now, we may think they are young, but if you start preparing them in another 4 years, they are matured enough to represent us and give us a good showing. So we need to start doing that very quickly.
Manchester United have signed 20-year-old Danish left-back Patrick Dogu from Serie A Lecce on contract until 2030. British media reported the deal is worth 30 million euros with additional 5 million euros in add-ons. Dogu, who joined Lecce from Nordsjælland in 2022, made 57 appearances for the Italian club, and he has been capped 4 times for Denmark. Excited about working with United's new manager, Ruben Amorim, Dogu said, "There is a clear plan for my development, and Manchester United is a perfect place to fulfill my potential." Dogu becomes United's second signing under Amorim as the club struggles in 12th place in the Premier League with just 2 wins in their last 5 matches. A brace by John Felipe Mateta continued Manchester United's Premier League misery at Old Trafford as Crystal Palace emerged with a 2-0 victory on Sunday. It was United's 5th home defeat in their last 6 league matches on the home soil as they slip back down to 13th in the table, with Palace leapfrogging them to 12th position. Ruben Amorim started Kobe Mainoo as a striker ahead of Rasmus and Joshua Zirkzee, and it nearly yielded immediate results as the England midfielder struck the post early on. Maxence Lacroix's header came back off the bar, with Andre Onana at full stretch. Mateta turned the bouncing ball into an empty net. Mateta took his Premier League tally to 10 when he tapped home Daniel Munoz low cross in the final minute. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. 30 persons have lost their lives in an auto crash in Ondo State. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SEREP, has given President Bola Tinubu a 7-day deadline to address allegations of corruption in Nigeria's oil sector. We also told you that Rwanda has welcomed calls for regional summits to end the conflict in DRC. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adibola Adibiba.